So here we go then with my Euro 2020 preview right here on ESPN Asia's YouTube channel. Yep, it's my thoughts, my predictions, my take on what might be happening. Yeah, I'll bring in one or two of the regular correspondents on my show on Fox Sports with a few bits and pieces of content over the next few minutes. But by and large, this is going to be me working my way through the different groups, making some predictions, and also picking out one or two of the players I'm particularly looking forward to watching. But before we do anything else, we have to establish one thing. We might think we know what's going to happen, but this is going to be a tournament unlike any other for a couple of reasons. The major one being, of course, it's being played across 11 different cities. Now, I know what you'll say, home advantage doesn't really matter anymore in these pandemic days, but there we have it. The world has changed so much since Michel Platini's original idea back in 2012 of a Euros for Europe. And the fact that we've already seen Spain's preparations drastically affected by COVID mean that I think it's fair to say we don't really know what's going to happen over the next month. We can only sit here and make some forecasts, and that is what I'm about to do. So let's start with the groups, and we start with, in my opinion, the most appealing potentially of all of the groups, Group A, with Italy, Switzerland, Turkey and Wales. And of course, Turkey taking on Italy in the opening match at the Stadio Olimpico. It's all about Italy, this one. I really like Roberto Mancini's side, a fantastic qualification campaign, perfect in fact, looking so solid, so hard to beat this Italian side. And there are many youngsters that I'm excited about watching. I'll pick out one or two later on, but Chiesa is obviously somebody I like a lot. The only thing is, curiously enough, can this Italian defense hold up all the way through the tournament? I see them going deep, and I've got them in my top four. But don't write off Turkey. Turkey are a dangerous side, maybe even in the first game of this tournament. They have plenty of flair. They have a veteran in Burak Yilmaz scoring goals brilliantly this season at the top end of the pitch, and a very solid defense. So they would be my favorites to go through in second, unless Switzerland are able to just play with freedom, which we haven't seen from a side which has plenty of potential so far. Wales, of course, are in this group, and I was really somebody who enjoyed traveling around France in 2016, watching a fantastic run for Gareth Bale and company. But is he the same player? Are they the same side? I'm not quite sure if they've got enough to get out of this group. All right, that's Group A. Group B now, and this is the one that on paper should be fairly straightforward. Everyone is saying that it's Belgium who will stroll through this one. And of course, most of the narrative now is about whether they go on and win the whole competition. Some saying it's their last chance for their so-called golden generation. Just a bit of a problem, by the way, there. Hazard not being the Hazard that he was a couple of years back, and De Bruyne having this unfortunate injury in the build-up to the tournament. This is one that I think that Belgium should qualify from, but I have my misgivings about them when it comes to the knockout stages of the competition. And who comes second is the big talking point here. Denmark looks solid to me all the way across the pitch. They've got decent players. Going back to what I said about home advantage, playing their games in St. Petersburg, does that give Russia a chance of maybe causing an upset here? I don't see it coming from Finland. Right, that's Group B. On to Group C now, and the Netherlands would be favourites, of course, to take this one out. They've got Austria, they've got Ukraine and North Macedonia for company. As far as the Dutch are concerned, there's these misgivings, aren't there, about Frank de Boer and whether or not the players will buy into his methods. I think Memphis Depay is an absolute plus for them. Gravenberch is one of their bright young generation of players, and there's a lot to be excited about. How deep they go in the competition, I'm not entirely sure. Do they get out of the group? I would imagine, yes, they should do. Their biggest rivals in that one, I think North Macedonia can be a threat to anyone. Just ask Germany about that one. I'm not so convinced by Austria, despite their potential from set pieces. Ukraine have been revived by Shevchenko in recent times at all levels, and Ruslan Malinovsky is a player that I always enjoy watching, so maybe they'll be the team to go through with the Dutch. Okay, here we go then. England and Group D. I say England and Group D because whether we like it or not, the media narrative is dominated so much by England. They've got Croatia, whom they know all about, and they should fear for company. The Czech Republic, with, of course, familiar faces. And Scotland, who I think are going to be one of the fun teams of this tournament. I really hope Billy Gilmore is given an opportunity to show what he can do. For England's right-back surfeit, we have Scotland with their left-sided defensive players in Tierney and Robertson. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how far Scotland can go in this one. But the narrative has been and will be dominated by England. It's a tournament, which means the same thing will happen that always happens. The distraction, the focus on things that are actually taking their minds away from the task of trying to win a football tournament. We see it happen. We see it whether it's political, whether it's discussions about identity, whether it is drowning and wallowing in nostalgia. Yeah, Gaza, Phil Foden, anybody? And of course, getting somebody before the tournament from the England camp to come out and say something that sounds like, we can win this. Let's go back to what I said. Distraction from the task at hand. It's something that really plagues everything to do with that country. And when it comes to football tournaments, it's a major issue because the task is a very difficult one for Gareth Southgate's side. They have brilliant, really modern, forward-thinking players if he picks them. In midfield, I love Bellingham. I love Rice. I think going forward at the top end of the pitch, Foden, Sancho, who would start for me with Kane. Absolutely love them. But fundamentally, they will be let down by misgivings and insecurity about their defence. I don't think they have the best goalkeeper in the world, but the defence is a major issue. And worries about that will impact everything, I think, going forward. England also have a really tough draw. Get out of this group and things get very difficult potentially for them straight away, unless they finish second in the group, but then they run into a really tough team in the quarterfinals. That is a problem for them. And of course, their tradition down the years of struggling when they come up against the really good teams in the knockout rounds. Remember, they went deep in Russia without really playing that well and being very dependent on set pieces. Look at me. I've gone all England again, spent loads of time talking about them, but that's what happens with England at these tournaments. They should get out the group. That's all I'll say. Who goes with them? I really don't know. Group E now, and it's so hard to make a really good prediction about this one because of the disruption that COVID has brought, in particular to Spain's preparations, a shadow squad being built. And this, remember, is a Spain side that has chopped and changed so much in terms of its build-up. Go to a guy called Alvaro Romeo, who's a regular correspondent on my show on Fox Sports. Go to his Twitter feed and have a little look at his thoughts. Leave COVID out of this. Just have a little look at his thoughts on their build-up to this one. Key players, historically, how Spain have maybe had problems at times like this. And that will give you all the build-up that you really need. Of course, it's Poland, Lewandowski's side in the group with them, Slovakia as well, and Sweden, who look as if they've got problems with COVID, with Kulusevski's positive test as well. It's a tough one to pick. As far as Spain are concerned, yeah, good enough to get out the group. How good are they in terms of going deep in the competition? I'm not entirely convinced about them. Lastly, the group everyone spoke about ever since that draw was made. Poor old Hungary. They've even lost Szoboszlai, their most talented midfield player, to injury going into this clash with Germany, with France, and with Portugal. People are not confusing, but they're basically conflating two different things. They're talking about this group, but then they're talking about the eventual outcome of the tournament. France, in just about everybody's eyes, favourites to put that pain of 2016 behind them and come back and win this one. Portugal, I have them down as with France, probably the two most likely teams to win this competition. Germany, have a little look at what Raphael Honigstein has been saying in The Athletic and elsewhere about major concerns about this German side that has wobbled badly in recent times. So, judging from what people are saying, it looks as if it should be France and Portugal to get through from this group. Will Benzema bed in? Taken off as an injury precaution the other night, but of course he can add that magical element. But then of course this Benzema-Giroud thing, which will build and build and build in the media and the social media, could be something that might potentially distract France. I can't see much getting in their way, but I do like what I see about Portugal as well. So for me, two strong favourites for the tournament there. So let's get to those predictions. Now, I kind of did so already in assessing the groups, but I think my top four would have to be France and Portugal, as I said already. Italy, I've been very bullish about them. And then that fourth spot for me is problematic. You, of course, are going to see people mentioning the likes of Belgium, England, Spain, but so much will come down to the way the draw works out. Similarly with the Dutch and the Germans, if they can get out of the group. So I don't know, maybe in keeping with the recent tournaments, it's time for an outsider to crash into that top four, as we've seen in competitions, including the last Euros. Outsider, maybe Turkey or whoever your pick is as the best outsider. Let's have them in the top four. When it comes to the race for the Golden Boot, I think one of the subplots in this competition is the quality of the strikers. I'm really pleased that Poland are there. I'm not sure they get out of their group, but that means that Lewandowski gets to demonstrate his genius in a major competition. Harry Kane will expect to get out of the group, and he'll be looking to pick up another Golden Boot. Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, will his pursuit of Ali Daei's goal-scoring record be a distraction to the team, or will it be something that spurs them on? Mbappe, is he going to show this tournament that he is the man? He's right up there in terms of the very best in the world. I like the dynamic here, but I think in terms of just sheer numbers and weight of, goals scored and how quickly he does it, Romelu Lukaku has to be the best bet to take out the Golden Boot. If Belgium go anywhere in this tournament, he would be my choice for the number one goal scorer. So really looking forward to seeing the likes of Federico Chiesa. Is he ready to explode onto the international stage with Italy? Spain's Gerard Moreno, undoubtedly the best striker that they have knocking around, and what a season he had both domestically and in Europe for Villarreal. I spoke about Billy Gilmour earlier on, the young Scots player, the young Chelsea midfielder. I really hope Steve Clarke finds a way to get him to spark that Scotland side. And south of the border, for all I said about England earlier on, they've got so many fun young players. Sancho, I think, is almost being overlooked at the moment, but he could have a great tournament. Foden, we know all about him. Really talented players, and I hope that Gareth Southgate enables them to really shine in this competition. All right, so there we are. I think I've gone on long enough. Suffice to say, I will be doing this on this channel throughout the course of this tournament. We'll have reactions. Now, I want the reactions to come from you, as well as me and from my sources overseas. So what I'd like you to do is get across to my social media platforms. It's John Dykes FC on Twitter and John M. Dykes on Instagram. And give me your thoughts as the tournament progresses. You can do so by commenting. You can do so by sending me some video clips through my direct messages. That is what I want this channel to become over the next month. Our channel, as I do with my show, I'd like this to be a portal, an opportunity, a platform for you guys around Asia to have your say on Euro 2020. Okay, see you soon. It's all about to get going.